Hey, how's it going? So I wanted to make a video going over the integration for Webflow and Klaviyo. Honestly, for the longest time, I've wanted to be able to just simply send over my Webflow form information to Klaviyo, and it's kind of been a hassle. Previously, we've used Zapier. That actually got pretty expensive, and I just didn't think it was a great solution. So I put together a script that will send the information over to any Klaviyo list that we have, but it'll also still send the information to Webflow Forms. So you'll see it show up in your typical emails as you would in Webflow Forms under like the Webflow form setting section. Plus, it'll go to whichever Klaviyo list you add to the individual form on the page. So if you want to go in depth, you can check out my article on Medium where I talk about all of this in full. But this video is just going to go over essentially this article in like a more fast-paced situation. Okay, so let's jump into it. I have this kind of mock-up website where it's a newsletter called Marketing Snippets, and say we need to send this email to Klaviyo so that we can put them through marketing automations, all of that good jazz. All right, so there's a couple things we need to do. First off, let's go into Klaviyo because we're going to need a list. So I opted to create a test list, and I recommend that you create a test list. It's going to be a little bit easier for you to just set things up and kind of understand how it works while using a test list, and you won't like muddy up any of your other lists. So I created this test list here, and when you create a list, we're going to need the list ID, and you can find that up here in the URL after the list section. You can see that this is the ID right here. So you can just copy that, save it for later. We're going to need it. We're also going to need our public API key. Klaviyo calls it like a library card, essentially, or it's also known as like the company ID. It's kind of confusing, but whatever. Anyway, so if you go down here, go to the settings tab under the accounts, and then go to API keys, you'll see that the public API key is here. This isn't my actual public API key. I edited the HTML. So yeah, just to let you know. Okay, so we have both of those things. We have the list ID, we have the public API key, also known as the company ID. And so now we can make our way over to Webflow. So when you're setting up these forms, you can use whatever Webflow form you want, design it however you want. It doesn't really matter. We just need to add one CSS class and one attribute to it to make everything work, along with the script that we'll add it to the page too. Okay, so I'm going to click on the form and go to the navigator. We'll see that this is your standard form as it would normally be. If you open it up, you should see this essentially a wrapping element that wraps all of your different form inputs. And this is the thing that we need to add the class to. So if you go over to the style panel, you'll see that I have Klaviyo form on here, and that's exactly the class that we need to add. So I would just select your input wrapper and throw on the Klaviyo form class. And we need to do one more thing. So I'll move my face here, go to settings, and under the custom attributes, we need to add this exact name, data Klaviyo list ID, and we'll add in the value of whichever list you want the information to go to. So for this example, I want it to go to our test list, and so I'll use this list ID right here, and I'll just paste that there again. Okay, so we're done on page. Actually, there's one more thing. So for these different form inputs, the name of the text field setting, or like the name of this particular input, needs to match the Klaviyo expected attributes. And so I have a list of those in the article over here. Let's see, here they are. So the standard Klaviyo attributes. So if you're sending over the first name, it needs to have this exact name first underscore name, last underscore name, organization. For email specifically, it needs to be email in lowercase. So just make sure if you're adding multiple different inputs that it follows the standard attributes from Klaviyo, and you can go to their website right here where it has the full list. I just put a small list in there. Okay, so I'll click on the input, which is for an email, and I'll just make sure that the name is set to email and the type is also email. Okay, and then we're good to go. You can also just name your form whatever you want. It'll show up inside of Webflow. It'll also show up inside of Klaviyo. Okay, great. Next step, we need to grab the script. So let's do that. Grab the script. Oh wait, I scrolled past it, sorry. Here it is, the full script. So we'll just copy this sucker, blam, and we'll go over to Webflow, go to the page. I'm gonna put this script in the page custom code section. You could put this in your all page sections. I mean, if you have forms all over the place and they're all going to different Klaviyo lists, it might be a good idea to put it on your, put it across the whole website. I personally like to add it to individual pages, so that's what I'm going to do. So I'm just going to copy this and paste it in there. And then we need to change our company ID, or the public API key, that kind of library key. So under the Klaviyo API call, we'll see this thing, company ID is equal to your Klaviyo company ID. So remember, we get that over here, right here. Oop, blam, copy that sucker and paste it in there. All right, and that's it. So we can press save, we can publish our website, and we'll be good to go. So now comes the testing phase. So I'll go over to the website. I'll just give it a reload. And we need to put in an email. I suggest just using a temporary email. So there's this service called temp.alio.com. It's really great. Actually, look, I can just change to a new email. Bam, I have one. So I'll copy this guy and come back over here, paste it in, press sign up. Okay, I said thank you. I did not style this. So let's check. So over here, we should have an opt-in. Great, that's awesome. We have an opt-in email, and we can choose to opt in if we want. Now, I want to note that I have double opt-in turned on, so I want to make sure you guys understand this, because this actually catches a lot of people off guard. So, right inside of your list, if you go to settings and you go to consent, there's double opt-in and single opt-in. You guys probably already know about this, but I just want to reiterate it, that if you have double opt-in turned on, the user will have to go to their email, they will have to click the I opt-in button, and then they'll be added to the list. However, if you have the single opt-in, as soon as they fill out their email, they'll be added to the list immediately. Double opt-in is nice because you know that you're probably getting a real human clicking it, so the intent there might be a little bit higher. So I recommend using double opt-in. I find that when I use single opt-in, I get more bots filling it out and filling up my list, and then I have to pay for those bots inside of Klaviyo. It's not good. Okay, so I added in my email over here, so we're looking for this one. So if we go over to Klaviyo, check out our list, there I am. That's awesome. And let's make sure that it showed up inside of the Webflow forms as well. So if I go to Webflow and I go to the site settings, go over here to forms and scroll down here, and we'll see that it's right there 2 minutes ago. All right, so that is how you set up the script. It's gonna throw the information into the Webflow forms. You'll also get an email, by the way, right? It's like your standard Webflow form. So the emails will come in. If I reloaded the page, you would see the new one in this list of emails here. So there's that, sends it over to Klaviyo, and you can add in whichever list you want to the form. So, right, we set it up with the test list. If you're using a test list, you're probably gonna wanna make sure you change it to the actual list that it should be going into so that you can properly segment your users. Cool. And remember, to change the list, you would just come into here, select the wrapper that wraps all of your inputs, and change the data Klaviyo list ID right there. Okay, that's it. If you guys have any questions, please leave them down in the comments. I would love it if you could suggest any kind of topics that you guys have, maybe around Webflow, maybe around Klaviyo, and I can make some videos in the future. So I hope you found this helpful. Have a good one. Bye.